How much would someone have to pay you to let another grown adult punch you in the face for 60 minutes? 50 grand? 100 grand? A million? Well, Conor McGregor apparently found a number. His much-anticipated return to the UFC against Max Holloway some days back ended in a painful TKO loss. If you were in his shoes, you would probably be worried about the bruises, the memes, and how to explain it to your family. But Conor, he had something much more comforting waiting for him. A paycheck large enough to make the ice pack feel a little colder and a little more luxurious. Here's where you should really start paying attention. When those cage doors close for 25 minutes, where does all the money actually come from? Why do some fighters walk away with life-changing fortunes while others barely cover training camp expenses? More importantly, what can you learn from this billion-dollar business that could change the way you think about investing, building wealth, and spotting opportunities long before everyone else? Let's step inside the money side of the Octagon. While McGregor made about $15 million in that embarrassing defeat, you should know that not everyone that gets to fight in the Octagon goes home a millionaire. In fact, if you walked into the UFC today thinking every fighter owns a Lamborghini, you might leave more shocked than someone who accidentally agreed to spar with Alex Pereira. The bright lights, roaring fans, and television cameras make everyone look rich. But behind every punch is a payment structure that looks more like a layered investment portfolio than a simple salary. The UFC doesn't just hand you one giant check and wish you luck. Instead, you earn money from several different streams, and the higher you climb, the more streams begin flowing into your bank account. Think of it like investing. You don't become wealthy from one stock. You build multiple sources of income. The UFC works almost exactly the same way, except one bad investment might lose you money, while one bad head kick might lose you consciousness. Let's break down exactly how fighters get paid, starting with the biggest source of income. This is your guaranteed paycheck simply for showing up and stepping into the cage, meaning even if you lose in spectacular fashion, you still get paid, with beginners often earning around $12,000, while elite stars can collect well over $1 million before the opening bell even rings. Now imagine your boss saying, "Congratulations, you survived Monday. Here's another full salary." That is basically the UFC win bonus, where many fighters double their earnings by winning, turning a $20,000 fight into a $40,000 payday before the interviews even begin. Knock someone out with a spinning kick, submit them with a spectacular finish, or produce a moment that explodes across social media, and Dana White might hand you an extra $100,000, proving that sometimes creativity literally pays better than playing it safe. If you and your opponent spend 15 minutes trying to rearrange each other's facial features while entertaining millions of viewers, both of you could receive another $100,000, making it one of the few jobs where getting punched repeatedly can qualify as excellent customer service. Although UFC apparel rules limit personal sponsors inside the cage, companies still pay recognizable fighters for promoting products, meaning your social media following can sometimes earn you nearly as much as your right hook. If you become a superstar like Conor McGregor, Jon Jones, or Islam Makhachev, you may receive a percentage of every pay-per-view sold, meaning your earnings can jump from a guaranteed $1 million to $5 or even $10 million simply because millions of people decided your fight was worth staying awake for. Once your name becomes globally recognized, brands outside the UFC may hire you to advertise everything from sports drinks to luxury watches, proving that the best punch you ever throw might actually be at a commercial photo shoot. So in the end, a UFC fighter makes between $12,000 and $30 million. That is an incredible range. One fighter leaves the arena wondering how to stretch his paycheck through the next training camp. Another leaves wondering which supercar to add to the garage. How? Why? It all comes down to which contract level you belong to. Here are the new signees. Back in 2013, before Conor McGregor became the face of the UFC and one of the richest combat athletes on the planet, he was simply another hungry prospect trying to prove he belonged. If you had met him then, you probably wouldn't have guessed he would someday headline billion-dollar events. His early UFC contract reportedly paid around $8,000 to show and another $8,000 to win, which meant if you lost, your bank account would hurt almost as much as your face. Today, Many newcomers still sign deals in the $12,000 and $12,000 range, while slightly more experienced prospects may earn $15,000 and $15,000 or $20,000 and $20,000. You might think $40,000 sounds fantastic until reality starts collecting its share. Your manager may take around 10%. Your coaches need paying. Your training partners expect compensation, nutrition, recovery, physiotherapy, equipment, taxes, and months of training camp all take their slice. By the time everyone finishes eating, you may wonder whether your opponent actually landed one extra punch directly on your bank account. Think about someone like Michael Chandler or Dan Hooker before reaching the biggest headline fights. At this, you have become recognizable, ranked, and trusted to deliver exciting performances whenever your name appears on the card. Typical contracts often range from $50,000 and $50,000 to $100,000 and $100,000, meaning one victory could instantly turn a six-figure payday into reality. Suddenly, interviews become more frequent, sponsors begin calling, and fans actually remember your name instead of saying, "Who is that guy fighting in the second match?" Of course, the expenses grow too. Better coaches charge more. Elite training camps cost more. Traveling with specialists costs more. Even your recovery bill starts looking like a luxury vacation invoice. You earn more, but you also spend more because success in the UFC is expensive to maintain. Now welcome to the neighborhood occupied by the likes of John Jones and Israel Adesanya. At this level, you are no longer just a fighter, you are the event. If your name disappears from the poster, ticket sales, sponsorship deals, and television numbers often take a hit. Your guaranteed purse can reach several $1,000,000 before bonuses even enter the conversation. Then come pay-per-view points, sponsorships, endorsements, appearance fees, and every other income stream you learned earlier. One successful fight night can generate more wealth than some fighters earn during their entire careers. But even here, money continues to flow out as quickly as it flows in. Dreams have been fulfilled inside the Octagon and will continue to be. Thanks to the likes of McGregor, the UFC has now become where you can literally fight your way to the top. Start today, throw a few punches, and get some back. Do this for the next 10 years and you may just walk into the cage one day. Allow yourself to get punched in the face for less than half an hour and walk out with enough money to make your financial advisor ask, "Are you sure this is legal?"
Surviving is winning, Franklin. Everything else is bullshit.
The truth is, the UFC is one of the few sports where a single night can completely rewrite your financial future. Legends like Conor McGregor and Ronda Rousey didn't just dominate opponents. They transformed themselves into global brands, proving that the biggest victory is often the one that lands directly in your bank account. Every record payday pushed the ceiling even higher, inspiring the next generation of fighters to dream beyond championship belts and toward generational wealth. Here are some of the biggest UFC paydays ever. Number 5, Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey changed women's MMA forever, and her blockbuster bouts at UFC 193 and UFC 207 reportedly earned her over $4 million in each of those nights. She proved that breaking barriers can be just as profitable as breaking arm joints. Somewhere, every aspiring fighter watching that event realized there was serious money hiding behind those gloves. Number 4, Khabib Nurmagomedov. Khabib's unforgettable showdown with Conor McGregor at UFC 229 became one of the biggest events in UFC history, helping him earn an estimated $6 million. He walked into the cage undefeated, walked out still undefeated, and then accidentally extended the fight into the audience. The security team probably deserved a performance bonus that night too. Number 3, John Jones. John Jones reminded everyone why champions command premium prices. His heavyweight title clash at UFC 309 reportedly earned him close to $6.2 million after combining his purse with pay-per-view revenue. That is the kind of paycheck that makes even your accountant want to start practicing takedowns. Number 2, Brock Lesnar. When Brock Lesnar headlined UFC 200, he reportedly took home around $8 million. Not bad for someone who looked like he could bench press the entire audience during the warm-up. You would probably spend years trying to save that much money. Brock earned it before you even finished paying this month's credit card bill. Number 1, Conor McGregor. Even with punches to his face, Conor McGregor has always beaten his own records when it comes to getting paid. At UFC 196, 264, 202, and 205, his guaranteed payout was more than $5 million each. Then, at his recent return against Max Holloway at UFC 329 at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, he got his ass whooped. Yet, he reportedly earned around $15 million, making it one of the biggest single-night paydays in UFC history. You might lose a fight, you might lose a tooth, but walking away with 8 figures is the kind of loss most people would gladly recover from. If you think UFC fighters only make money by throwing punches, you might also think a smartphone is only useful for making phone calls. The smartest fighters know that fists eventually slow down, but businesses can keep working long after the final bell. Your left hook has a retirement age. A well-run company does not. Take Khabib Nurmagomedov, for example. After building one of the most dominant careers in MMA history, he expanded into business by launching Eagle FC, investing in fitness ventures, and partnering with several global brands. Instead of only fighting inside the cage, he started fighting for market share. One battle earns applause. The other earns recurring revenue. Then there's Israel Adesanya. Besides earning millions in the Octagon, he has built an impressive portfolio of endorsement deals with major brands while growing a massive online audience. Every interview, every social media post, and every public appearance becomes another opportunity to get paid. Imagine waking up, posting a picture of your breakfast, and somehow ending the day richer than you were before you ate it. Many fighters also own gyms, launch fitness programs, sell merchandise, start clothing brands, invest in real estate, or partner with nutrition and supplement companies. The goal is simple: build income streams that don't require getting punched in the face first. That might be the biggest financial lesson you can learn from the UFC. Championships are incredible, but cash flow is even better. Muscles get tired, knees get older, punches lose speed. But a profitable business can keep making money while you're relaxing on a beach, watching someone else do the fighting. Now that's the kind of knockout every investor should be chasing. Conor McGregor may still be volunteering his face for scientific experiments disguised as prize fights. But when it comes to money, he has already won enough rounds to buy the entire scorecard. With an estimated net worth of more than $300 million, he is in a financial weight class of his own. At this point, every punch he takes probably costs more than most people's annual salary. If you checked his bank account after a fight, you would need a calculator, a financial advisor, and perhaps a therapist. So, let's be fair. We'll leave the billionaire lifestyle to the notorious for a moment and give the spotlight to the other UFC legends who also turn bruises into businesses and championship belts into serious wealth. The next richest UFC fighter is Khabib Nurmagomedov, with an estimated net worth of $62 million. Khabib didn't just retire undefeated. He retired with a fortune that keeps growing through businesses, promotions, and endorsement deals. He spent years making opponents tap out. Now he spends his time making investments pay out. That sounds like a much more comfortable hobby. Next comes Georges St-Pierre, worth around $31 million. GSP built his reputation on discipline, precision, and never looking like he had forgotten his homework. While other fighters relied on trash talk, Georges quietly collected championship belts, endorsement deals, and enough wealth to prove that being polite can also be profitable. Right behind him is Brock Lesnar, with an estimated $30 million. Brock looked less like a UFC fighter and more like someone the UFC accidentally created in a laboratory. Between professional wrestling, mixed martial arts, sponsorships, and business ventures, he turned being absolutely terrifying into a remarkably successful career strategy. Then you have Tito Ortiz, whose estimated net worth sits at $29 million. Tito understood early that building a personal brand could be almost as valuable as winning fights. Long after many fans stopped counting his victories, his business interests continued adding to his financial scoreboard. Wanderlei Silva follows with an estimated $28 million. Known as the Axe Murderer, he built a reputation for frightening opponents long before the opening bell. Thankfully for everyone involved, he eventually discovered that earning money through businesses is much less painful than earning it by charging headfirst into flying punches. Next is Ronda Rousey, with an estimated $22 million. She revolutionized women's MMA, became one of the biggest stars the UFC had ever seen, crossed into professional wrestling, landed movie roles, and signed major endorsement deals. She proved that sometimes the most valuable submission is convincing global brands to sign your contract. Finally, there's Jon Jones, with an estimated net worth of $12.5 million. Widely regarded as one of the greatest mixed martial artists of all time, Jones has earned millions through championship fights and pay-per-view events. His career has seen incredible highs, controversial lows, and enough headlines to keep sports journalists permanently employed. Yet through it all, he remains one of the UFC's highest-earning competitors. If there's one lesson you should take away from this list, it's that the richest fighters didn't build their fortunes from fight purses alone. They treated every championship, every interview, every sponsorship, and every business opportunity like another investment. Winning inside the Octagon made them famous. Winning outside the Octagon made them wealthy. While making millions of dollars in a single night sounds amazing, there's one tiny catch. You actually have to let another highly trained professional try to rearrange your face first. The UFC pay structure is literally built on fighting your way to the top, one punch, one victory, and one paycheck at a time. Thankfully, your path to wealth probably doesn't require mouthguards or ice packs. The biggest lesson here isn't to step into the Octagon. It's to build multiple income streams, invest in yourself, and create assets that keep paying you long after you've clocked out. The richest UFC fighters did not start making millions overnight, and they did not stop building their wealth outside the cage. This is a winner's mindset, and that's exactly what we do on this channel. We take the biggest stories in sports, business, and global events and uncover the investing lessons hiding behind them. Hit that subscribe button because the next big investment opportunity might not be hiding on Wall Street. It might be hiding in the next story we break down.